Good afternoon, good evening, and also good morning to everyone. We're starting our meeting today and discussing something that we had discussed before, but this is another aspect to it. And I have someone who is very experienced with it, and I will introduce him shortly. That's Jeremy Fernando. And we are going to talk about renewable energies plus about rooftop solar and its storage, which is important for viability of the grid instability. So this is an important topic for Sri Lanka in particular. So before I do that, I'm going to spend about 5 minutes to show what our president wants to do from a speech. I have extracted some things with some English subtitles. So let's go through it first.
අපි නීති ඉදිරියේ හැමදෙනාම සමානයි කියන සංකල්පයට පනපවමු.
මේ සංවිධානාත්මක අපරාධ කල්ලි අපිට මේ මතු පිටින් තිබෙන රාජ්‍ය හා සමාන කළු රාජ්‍යයක් නිර්මාණය කරගෙන තියෙනවා. කළු රාජ්‍යය. ඔවුන්ට අවියායුධ ලැබෙනවා. නීත්‍යානුකූල හමුදාවන් විසින් ඔවුන්ගේ කුඩු ප්‍රහාණය කරනවා. ඒ මැඩ පැවැත්වීම සඳහා ඉන්න පොලිසිය විසින් උන්ට රැකවරණය දෙනවා. ඒ මැඩ පැවැත්වීම සඳහා ප්‍රතිපත්තිම එකඟතාවය ඇතින දේශපාලන අධිකාරිය විසින් උන්ට නීති විරෝධී පාස්පෝර්ට් හදලා දෙනවා. නීති විරෝධී පාස්පෝර්ට් වැළැක්වීම සඳහා තිබෙන ඉමිග්‍රේෂන් එක විසින් උන්ට මෝටර රථ ලියාපදිංචි කරලා දෙනවා. නීත්‍යානුකූල මෝටර රථ ලියාපදිංචි කිරීම සඳහා තිබෙන ආයතන විසින් ඔවුන්ට නීතිය රැකවරණයත් එම ආයතන විසින් ලබා දී තිබෙනවා. එනිසා මේ මතු පිට තිබෙන රාජ්‍යයට සමාන යටිබිම්ගත රාජ්‍යයක් මේ සංවිධානාත්මක අපරාධ කල්ලි වෙත තිබෙනවා. අපි ඔබට එකක් කියන්නම්. මේ යටිබිම්ගත රාජ්‍ය අපි සහතික වශයෙන් අවසන් කරනවා. අපිට පළමු කාර්තුවේ 4.8ක ආර්ථික වර්ධන වේගයක් අපි අත්පත් කරගෙන සමත් වී තිබෙනවා. දෙවැනි කාර්තුවේ 4.9ක ආර්ථික වර්ධන වේගයක් අපි අත්පත් කරගෙන සමත් වී තිබෙනවා. ඒ වගේම අපි මේ වසර අවසන් වෙනකොට 5% ආසන්න ආර්ථික වර්ධන වේගයක් අත්පත් කරගත හැකියි. ඒ කියන්නේ අඛණ්ඩව 5% ආසන්න ආර්ථික වර්ධන වේගයක් අත්පත් කරගත්තු වසර දෙකක් අපි අභිමුඛ වෙනවා. ඩොලරයේ සලකති ප්‍රමාණයක් අපි ස්ථාවර කරන් තිබෙනවා. ඩොලර් සංචිත බිලියන 7ක් දක්වා මේ වසර අවසන් වෙනකොට වර්ධනය කර ගැනීම ඉලක්ක කරගෙන අපි වැඩ කරමින් තිබෙනවා. බැංකු පොලි ස්ථාවර බැංකු පොලි අනුපාතිකයේ තනි ඉලක්කමේ රඳවා ගන්න සමත් වී තිබෙනවා. අද බැංකු පද්ධතිය පෞද්ගලික ආයෝජන සඳහා විශාල ලෙස මුදල් පොම්ප කරන්න පටන් අරගෙන තිබෙනවා. ආයෝජන කැඳවගෙන සමත් වී තිබෙනවා. අපේ ආණ්ඩුවේ පළමු වසර තුල ගිය සැප්තැම්බර් සහ මේ සැප්තැම්බර් සංසන්දනය කරොත් ඩොලර් බිලියනක ඍජු ආයෝජන කැඳවගෙන සමත් වී තිබෙනවා. ඉතින් විශේෂයෙන් වැදගත් මාර්ග පද්ධතිය. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ගත්තොත් අපිට තියෙන්නේ අධිවේගී මාර්ග කොටයක් තියෙනවා. මීරිගම කුරුණෑගල කොටයක්. කොතනවත් කෙලවරක් නැති කොටයක්. අපි ඇයි මොකද කියලා බැලුවොත් මේ කාල ප්‍රමාද වෙන්න හේතුව අපි කවුරුත් දන්නා මොකද සිද්ධ වුනේ කියන්නේ. ආර්ථික බිඳවැටීම විතරක් නෙවෙයි ඒවා පිටිපස්ස තිබුණු දූෂණය පිළිබඳ චේතනාවන් අධිවේගී මාර්ගයේ කොටයක් ඉටු කරන්න හේතු වී තිබෙනවා. අපි පෞගේදා මෙගාවොට් 100ක සූර්ය බලාගාරයකට ආරම්භ කරා. ඒක ලබන අවුරුද්ද ඇතුළත අපිට විවෘත කරන්න පුළුවන්. ලංකාවේ මෙතෙක් තිබුණු සියලුම සූර්ය බලාගාර මෙගාවොට් 10ට වඩා යටින් තිබුණේ. හැබැයි පළමුව තල 100ක මෙගාවොට් බලාගාරය. සූර්ය බලාගාරය. ඒ වගේම මෙගාවොට් 50ක මන්නාරමේ සුළං බලය නිෂ්පාදනය කරන බලාගාරයක් අපි නිර්මාණය කරනවා. ඒක ටෙන්ඩර් කැඳවල ඔක්කොම සමාගම දීලා පාරිසරික ගැටලු ටිකක් තියෙන එක ඉක්මනින් විසඳනවා. ඒ මන්නාරමේම යම් සමාගමකට පසුගිය රජය ලබා දී තිබුණා විදුලි ඒකකයක් අපි මිලදී ගන්නේ ඩොලර් 8.2යි. අපි ඩොලර් 4.65යි. එදා රුපියල් 24යි අද රුපියල් 13යි. මොකද අපි අපේ ආර්ථික ඉස්සරහට ගන්න නම් මේ බලශක්තිය සඳහා දරන පිරිවැය අපි අඩු කළ යුතුයි. අපි තරඟ කරන්න වෙන්නේ ලෝකයේ වෙළඳපොළත් එක්ක. අපේ වෙළඳපොළ ඉතා කුඩා වෙළඳපොළක්. අපි ලෝකයේ වෙළඳපොළත් එක්ක තරඟ වදින්න නම් අපේ නිෂ්පාදන පිරිවැය අඩු කරගන්න ඕන. නිෂ්පාදන පිරිවැය අඩු කරගන්න නම් මේ බලශක්ති ශාස්ත්‍රයේ වියදම අපි අඩු කරගන්න ඕන. අද සියලුම ජාත්‍යන්තර මූල්‍ය ආයතන විසින් අපේ ආර්ථිකය පිළිබඳ ඉතාමත් වැදගත් සාධක ඉදිරිපත් කරමින් තිබෙන ලෝක බැංකුව, ජාත්‍යන්තර මූල්‍ය අරමුදල, විවිධ රේටින් සමාගම අපේ ආර්ථිකය ඉදිරියට යාම පිළිබඳව සංඥා වන්දනයකට වැදගත් අපිට අවශ්‍යයි. මොකද අපේ රට පිළිබඳ ගොඩනැගී තිබෙන කළු ආර්ථිකයක්, බිඳවැටුණු ආර්ථිකයක් පිළිබඳ සංඥාව තමයි ලෝකයේ තිබෙන්නේ. බිඳවැටුණු ආර්ථිකයක් කළු ආර්ථිකයකට ආයෝජකයන් ඉන්නේ නැහැ. වෙළඳපොළ පිළිබඳ විශ්වාසය තබන්නේ නැහැ. නිසා අපේ ආර්ථිකය පිළිබඳ විශ්වාසය තහවුරු කළ යුතුයි. හැබැයි අද වන විටත් ජාත්‍යන්තර මූල්‍ය අරමුදල ලෝක බැංකුව සානිකුත් විවිධ රේටින් සමාගම් විසින් ලංකාව පිළිබඳ ආර්ථික දෙන සංඥාවන් ඉතාමත් වැදගත් සංඥාවන් ලබා දෙමින් තිබෙනවා. මම දැක්ක ලෝක බැංකුවේ නිවේදනයකින් කියනවා බිඳවැටුණු රටවල් ගොඩනැගීමේදී වේගවත්ම භාවය අත්පත් කරගත්තු රාජ්‍යයක් ශ්‍රී ලංකාව කියන නාමය අපට ලබා දී තිබෙනවා. වැදගත් සාධක. අපිට අවශ්‍යයි දියුණු දේශපාලකයෙක්, දියුණු පුරවැසියෙක්. අපිට කිසිසේත්ම අවශ්‍ය නැහැ වන්දනාමාන කරන පුරවැසියෙක්. ලෝකේ දියුණු වෙච්ච හැම රටකම දේශපාලන අධිකාරියේ දියුණුව වගේම පුරවැසියාගේ දියුණුව වැදගත්. රටක් ඉස්සරහට යන්න පුළුවන්කම තිබෙන්නේ දියුණු පුරවැසියකින්. අන්නේ දියුණු පුරවැසියා නිර්මාණය කිරීම සඳහා අවශ්‍ය වෙන අධ්‍යාපනයේ ප්‍රසංස්කරණ අපි ඇති කරනවා. ඕන හොඳ දියුණු පුරවැසියෙක්. හැම කෙනාම තමන්ගේ අභිමුඛව ප්‍රශ්න කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕන. රාජ්‍ය නිලධාරියට තමගේ දේශපාලන අධිකාරිය විසින් ගනු ලබන වැරදි තීන්දුවක් තිබෙනවා නම් ඒ ප්‍රශ්න කළ යුතුයි. එම සංස්කෘතියක් අපේ රට අවශ්‍යයි. අපේ රටේ තිබුණු කුමන සංස්කෘතියද? දේශපාලන අධිකාරියට යටත් වුණු රාජ්‍ය සේවයක්. ජනාධිපතිවරයාගේ සාකච්ඡාවේදී කිසි නිලධාරියෙක් කට අරින්නේ නැහැ. අමාත්‍යවරයාගේ සාකච්ඡාවේදී කිසි නිලධාරියෙක් කට අරින්නේ නැහැ. මේම අපේ රාජ්‍ය සේවය තිබුණේ.
So I just presented just a very briefing because it's very much in line with what we are going to talk today, and also in line with most of the things that we discussed over the last 4 or 5 years. So he said law and order will be equal for everyone. No one is above the law, which is something we looked about. He talked about the deep state, which is mostly supported by the oligarchs, and then how to get rid of that. He talked about the economy, which is true, it's improving step by step. He talked about the highways and the connectivity, which is expanding, and energy costs. And this is about promoting renewable energy, solar power, and particularly wind power, and how it will attract investors if we reduce the energy costs. Then our nation recognition is improving as well, and the trust in the world, and education reforms. And in particularly, he said, speak up. So speak up is more important for everyone. That's why we make these things public videos as well as publish if we can. So I'm glad to introduce today someone who talk about this. Energy price has to reduce, our president says, to enhance investment, which is very true, and reduce cost of living. So Jeremy Fernando is coming from the grassroots, really, who understands all this, given his experience, and he's also founder and managing director of Innovative Smart Solutions. He's an automobile engineer and a consultant on energy storage systems. He's got 40 years of international experience across diverse industries, automotive technology, software development, energy storage solutions, renewable energy systems, electronic manufacturing, business development, and battery management systems. So he is a very good knowledge source, and also who can cast a little bit of advice to everyone, really. So I'm glad he's spending his time this afternoon to inform us. Welcome, Jeremy. I'll stop here and you can share your slides. Thank you.
Thank you, Chola. Good evening, everyone. So I'm happy that this opportunity is given to me by the Leeds organization So I'm trying to talk about the subject and see whether I can sort of, share some views and my experience on the subject. Okay, so the topics of the discussion, I have a little bit about the history, which all of us know, but I want to sort of talk about it a little. Tariff policy impact, which is very important, when you are developing the renewable energy. Also, there was a rapid development in our solar energy deployment in Sri Lanka between the years 2023-24, which is significant, and I want to talk about why it happened. Grid stability issues, which is a very controversial subject, so I need to touch on that. And then I will come to the current status, in my view, where we are, what is happening. And also, I am going to suggest the way forward for consumer, Government of Sri Lanka, and EPCs. Then also, as I have been introduced, or I got to know Solar Village a lot in detail after getting in touch with the leads. I would like to do some recommendation for Solar Village, how Solar Village can also contribute from what they are doing to develop renewable energy in Sri Lanka. So, the history of the solar development in Sri Lanka, as we all know, is Suryabala Sangramaya, Battle for Solar, which started in 2016 period. As I was saying, it's a 6-year period, Suryabala Sangramaya, which was very good development. And it was funded by, as I know, it's ADB funded loan. The loans were given from almost all the banks. The loan payment was guaranteed by the CB and LECO. So it was a tripartite agreement which was signed by the consumer who was availing the loan. This is very important because then what happened was the lender's interests were covered by CB or LECO. So that was the success in having so many development in a short period of time, and people were able to get the loans. Yes. And Suryabala Sangramaya introduced 3 schemes: net metering, net accounting, and net plus. And later on, net plus plus was also introduced, but then now it has been taken out. So total rooftop solar capacity added during this period was 700 megawatts, which was a considerable amount of rooftop solar, I believe. So the long-term development plan targets were 200 megawatt rooftop solar by 2020 and 1,000 megawatt of rooftop solar by 2025. And total target of 2,000 megawatt by 2030. So these were the associated with Suryabala Sangramaya long-term generation plans, put out by the government of Sri Lanka through CB for the development. So tariff policy impact is the next thing I want to talk about. As you can see on the right-hand side, the development period, I have taken 4 periods based on the tariff changes, actually. So if I am to show you, so here I am showing what the feed-in tariff rate, this 22 means 20 rupees per unit for the rooftop solar, and 15 means that it will reduce after 7 years for 15 to 15 rupees. The other figures are for the IPP and PPA. That means, independent power producers and power purchase agreements, that is for land-mounted solar and, utility scale solar projects. So now, as you can see, in 2022, October 2022 to July 2024, the highest rate was paid at 37 rupees. And also highest rate was paid for 34.50 for land mounted. July 2024, it dropped to 27 and land mounted was 23. And in July 25, as we know, it dropped to 19 and 15. So I have just shown here the representation of this above graph, sort of a chart in the graph format, so that we can see that more clearly. So Surya Bala Sangram here in 700 megawatts added in 6 years, and then the growth, rapid growth increase was due to the 37 rupee payment for unit during this second period, and slow but steady growth later on in 2024, about 100 megawatt in about a year. But after that, it has stagnated over a period of time, and this is the current period due to fixed rate surging. So what I want to highlight is the development was totally related to the rate of payment for a unit by the CEB or LECO or the government of Sri Lanka to the consumers. So the rapid development, if we talk about how and what are the positive impacts of that, I'm talking about the rapid development period where 37 rupees were paid, and there was about 800 megawatt of solar added. Mainly these deployments were based on investment. That means people did that deployment as investment. So if you compare the statistics, it shows us that income versus bill offset was 60-40, meaning people who invested as an income was 60% of the total, and only 40% invested just to get their bill offset. So this is the very important fact for us to understand, because how people in Sri Lanka waiting for solar or invested in solar, their primary objective was getting an income from their roof, not to just offset their electricity bill. So because of that, what happened was the majority installations were high capacity. That means it could be from 10 kilowatt to 40 kilowatt. But many installations were 20 to 40. That means three-phase system can go up to 20 kilowatt, 30 ampere three-phase, 60 ampere three-phase, you can go up to 40 kilowatt. Now, a lot of people went in for that because they were going for investment, so they went in for large systems. So naturally, at 37 rupees a kilowatt, it was a good income source. So that was the positive impact for the consumers with this rapid development. Of course, there were negative impact as well. It affected the grid because there was a lot of solar added during daytime, and curtailed approval even for bill offset, because the solar addition was too much. The CEB and LECO curtailed the approval because the grid couldn't take it and the transformers were full. So what happened was the people who wanted to bill offset also couldn't do that. So in a way, the policy or the way it has happened is really not uniformed and fair. because people, elite, people who had money and, who could get easily get a loan from a bank, they went for large scale solar, which has affected the small household, which is trying to offset 5 kilowatt system for just to get out of electricity bill. Now, this also affected the industry and the EPCs, equipment procurement and construction companies. A lot of businesses were lost because due to the rapid development and followed by the curtailment of fuel, solar, residential solar, this thing went down. Business went down very bad. So because of that, a lot of companies lost business. That also created another problem because a lot of companies during this rapid development, they install many installations fast and because there was a big demand. But then just after that, the business dropped and they could sustain their businesses and the businesses were closed. So many people were saddled with the problem of getting support because in some situations even the companies were also not there. So now there are some people, their solar is fortunately it is because it's on grid, it is working, but it is not serviced, or if something happens, they have to go to another company to get service. So these problems came about because of this rapid development. Then I would like to talk about the grid stability issues. In February 2024, as we all know, the grid failed and there was a island-wide power outage. So now failure was caused by excess solar energy. That is what the CEB and not so much LECO, but CEB, that's what they said. So was it due to excess solar? That is a question, which was debated, but, no proper answer was found. But in my opinion, it was attributed to excess solar, but the tripping of the whole network was really not because of excess solar, but excess solar, tripped one point, which cascaded with the cascaded effect. It tripped the whole island network. So only thing is, at that point, we all knew that the total solar capacity added to the grid was in the range of about 1,400 megawatt. Now there is something, a standard in, it's known and, it's well documented. The grid capacity, out of the grid capacity, you can rooftop solar during daytime, unregulated solar, you can add up to 20% of the grid capacity. Or if the grid is very sort of modern and, very well maintained, it can go up to about 30% of the grid capacity. So now, if you take our grid as 5,300, 5,400 megawatt, that's about 20% is about 1,000 megawatt. So in that sense, our grid is overloaded. So if the question was asked, the question was never asked whether or discussed whether we have exceeded our grid capacity. I don't understand why a lot of people, experts didn't, even talk about it. But what we see is, after the follow-up of the government of Sri Lanka CEP asking consumers to shut down their solar plant during holidays, so the indirectly, the authorities are saying that, we are overloaded. So that's why, that's what I understand from what happened. So according to my understanding and knowledge, actually we have overloaded the grid already. So the current status, if you look at the current status, so right now what is happening is the limited approvals for residential solar. In fact, it is maximum allowed is 5 kilowatt. Then if you want, like if you have a EV or something, and if you want to have more solar, you need to have a special approval above 5 kilowatt. Then government has proposed evening peak tariff payment of 45.80 per unit, but unfortunately we still await the policy framework to be gazetted. So it is not really in operation, or it's not something consumers can avail at this point of time. In parallel, there are some confusion developments also. Large-scale land-mounted solar plants are added in the country. Now, if we talk about the grid being overloaded and the grid cannot accommodate, then this is contradictory. Because you cannot add unless you really update the grid and make way for that type of this thing. So that also means we have to spend a lot of money to do that. So planned battery storage was there in a long-term development plan, but unfortunately nothing is coming in a fast enough. Like they're talking about it, but nothing we can see yet. So if you add battery storage to the grid in some points, we can accommodate more solar during the day and store it in the batteries and take it out during the evening peak. So that is what a lot of other countries do, and then Sri Lanka has to do that as well. But unfortunately, not we cannot see substantial, or in fact, it hardly any battery storage is added. Just the tender for 160 megawatt battery storage is to be floated, but that is also in the pipeline. Nothing is constructing. And in addition to that, floating solar is proposed, and in my opinion, without infrastructure or at a very high cost for infrastructure. So that is also something which the country cannot afford at this point of time. So because of that, that development is also not really in line with what should happen. So if you talk about the way forward with all these, taking into consideration all these facts, so there is no other solution here. Or consumers will have to deploy hybrid inverters with time of use tariff. Now, why I say time of use tariff specifically, because if you use time of use tariff, your tariff rates change, and you are supposed to pay 67 rupees for a unit during the peak time, that is 6:30 to 10:30 in the evening. Now, batteries can be used to offset that time. That means the battery unit is offsetting a unit of 67 rupees. That is economical in that sense to use a battery. Otherwise, the battery storage is not economical. So, and also time of use tariff for the same amount of energy, like 600 units per month. If you're on the time of use tariff scheme, your bill will be slightly lower than the flat slab rate energy sort of scheme. So because of that, it has to be mandated that, the time of use tariff should go hand in hand with hybrid installation. So also the system should limit the export during the day to 20%. Now, if you don't do this, again, we were repeating the same mistake what we did with on-grid solar, because the grid will be saturated again. But of course, there's one thing here which will curtail that, because the payment for the unit is 19 rupees. It is reduced. So because of that, there's no economic sense for anybody to export during the daytime. So, but it is important that, we have to maintain that 20% export. And we have to enable, like accept during the evening, 6:30, 10:30 period, and that energy has to be paid at a higher rate. So the rate right now proposed is 45.80, but in my opinion, it has to be in the range of about 60 rupees. So that there are some challenges for the customers. This is when you are talking about hybrid solar systems, it involves high technology, because there's a battery which is not there in the normal, the standard on-grid system. So because the battery technology is also involved, current EPCs, in my opinion, lack experience in this. So because of that, the customers are confused as to who can give them the right solution. The other thing is, in Sri Lanka, we are using air conditioners for cooling. That is the biggest load in any household, because the load is about 80% of the total load. Somewhere around between 60 to 80% of the total load is cooling load. And also there are some water heating. That is again very heavy thing, geysers and water pumps and that type of thing. That also is another load. So because of that, if you are using batteries, this load has to be separated. So that means your house will have to be not really rewired, but it has to be, load separation has to happen. So it involves some work and also some good knowledge of the person who is doing it. In addition to that, these systems cannot be just installed and forgotten about, because the batteries are working every day, and they need attention, they need monitoring, and also support is required, because there are a lot of things that can happen, unlike on off-grid on-grid system, where it doesn't really affect the customer. So if the battery fails, or the loads trip, so because of that, these systems need to be monitored and supported very well. So the way forward for the government of Sri Lanka, in my opinion, now in the periods, these periods, the unit rate was LKR 2014 2016, and this is for the diesel purchase, energy generated with fossil fuel. So right now it is going up to 57 rupees. And unit cost based on the IPP PPA, based on these projects, the information what we see is, it is starting from 57 rupees a unit to going up to about 93 rupees a unit. Unit rate in comparison to the tariff is on the last one, which you can see that the unit rate has been at 23.50 and the feed-in tariff rate has been 22 rupees. Now, unit rate has changed over the period of time. So is the fit. But the fit has come down to 19 now, but the unit rate hasn't come down. So unit rate is still 40. So in actual fact, if the government has reduced the feed-in tariff rate, actually the government's explanation is this is based on the cost of energy. But it is not so, because you see, their charge to the customer, average unit rate is very high. So basically, what the government should do is bring back the unit rate to, now they have brought back the feed-in tariff rate to 19, even less than when we started the Surya Bal Sangram, right? So basically, if you bring it back, and then unit rate also has to brought back to bring back the unit rate also to that level, I would think it's 20 rupees. So some of the thing, Sri Lankan government should announce the solar plus storage policy without delay, because they have proposed a figure, but nobody knows how to implement this and how to get this for them. Hybrid solar, how they can, get paid for that evening peak, all that. Of course, my recommendation, or even not only mine, everybody in the industry is expecting a peak rate to be around 60 rupees. If you look at the unit rate, and what they are paying for diesel and power purchase agreement, this is very, very fair. The government has to make time of use tariff mandatory with hybrid solar. If they don't do that, we will make the same mistake again. Reduce, eliminate VAT and duty on storage, which is a must, because if you, at the current prices, the battery unit produced from the battery storage is not affordable. So unless, like in other countries like Australia and, what they have done, we need to bring down the duty, VAT on storage. Now, this, it can be done because, it's not forever, but for the installation, maybe once for a house for the 15 or 20 years. So it's not a reduction every month or so. So also in our country, we need low interest loans to people to get a loan for this capital purchase. The government should also encourage firm power. Now, what is firm power is a lot of land-mounted solar, land-based and other even floating solar. They produce during the daytime, that is only for 4 hours, 4 to 6 hours, peak. But afterwards, there's no production at all. So now this is the problem the government has is, this is a varying load, varying power supply. So if you add battery storage to these systems, then what the government can do is they can ask these systems to produce firm power, certain amount of power during 24 hours of the day. So that will have to come from a combination of solar and battery storage. But that power can be used by the government for base load as well. So a lot of other countries have done this. And in Sri Lanka, we can do it as well. So it's only a matter of, getting this sort of policy framework properly and introduce this one. So the long-term objectives will be to eliminate fossil fuel by for power generation, which we have agreed to do, and Paris Convention and all that, and also to achieve 70% of the renewable target, renewable energy produced from renewable energy by 2030, and reduce average cost of unit to 20 rupees. I think the president himself has stated this. He wants to make Sri Lanka the lowest cost of energy in the region. I think we can do this. We can only do this by eliminating the amount of money we are spending for fuel, fossil fuel. So when you eliminate the expenditure on fossil fuel, means you have to compensate with some other energy. That is only solar. So now with the grid being overloaded, so you cannot really do the same thing what you have been doing, that is on-grid solar. So we have no option but to go in for hybrid and battery storage. Okay, so way forward for the industry as well as the EPCs, they have to promote hybrid solar. They also have to develop lithium battery knowledge, because in my opinion, a lot of on-grid solar people, they don't have any knowledge on battery storage. Because of that, they are reluctant to promote battery storage, and also they don't know what products to promote and how to get it going. And unlike in on-grid solar, a hybrid solar means you need to do energy audit. That means you cannot just take the bill and calculate the amount of solar you have to put it on the house or the roof, like on grid solar. Hybrid solar means especially with time of use tariff, you need to understand what time is your energy used. Is it during the day, night, or peak? So because battery storage is expensive, and that should apply to only peak. So if you don't know what your peak load is, you don't know what your battery capacity should be. So as a result, you cannot really very easily come up with the system that the customer should have. Either it will be overspent, or it may be less capacity and the system will not work properly. So because of that, energy auditing skills have to be developed on every EPC, and there are some equipment, measuring tools, and how to do these proposals, estimation, and also follow up, because if a customer is spending money for that, he should be given assurance that what the system is delivered is, producing result. So if the customer doesn't know that, the customers are reluctant to go for it. Because of that, EPCs are struggling because they don't know how to convince the customer on give the assurance to the customer as well. The other thing is, unlike on-grid solar, hybrid or the battery storage need continuous online monitoring. Now I know that some like the inverter manufacturers, they have their own cloud and they show something, but unfortunately that is not effective. A lot of systems are very, it's the common systems, and it doesn't give the right result. So online monitoring platforms have to be developed, or they have to use something, which is, it may be costly, but it has to be there. Another thing is, if you develop, if you deploy these systems right around the country, unless you are able to monitor, the people cannot support this. Because if something happens and if there is a truck roll to take place to go and see the system, they will spend a lot of money. So people cannot sustain their operation if they don't really have a monitoring platform and they can do it from their offices. So there are some new business models, which we have to introduce. Like one thing is energy management as a service. Now, I will give you an example of what energy management as a service means. Now, some time ago, when the CCTV cameras came into the country, there were some specialized companies who were, who were selling, and then they had their 24/7 monitoring stations to provide this customer with the service. And in fact, they were monitoring their houses, the customers' premises. And if something happens, even without the customers, even if the customer is not aware of it, these companies used to react. So energy management as a service, that means, that these companies in the CCTV scenario, they provide it as a complete service. They provide the solar system and they maintain it, and then also they constantly monitor it. Now, in the case of energy also, it has to be like that, because battery storage and how the battery is working, and like how many sort of years I can use from the battery, when to replace the battery, how to replace the battery, like depreciation of asset and that type of thing. Customers find it very difficult to manage. So if you give this as a service to the customer pays a fixed amount, but customer gets the total solution, and the solution is maintained by a company, that will work fine for many people, because then the customers don't have the headache of maintaining their batteries and keeping their energy cost down. It will be monitored by some other third party. So there's another related business associated with this. Probably you all know that in on-grid solar also, roof rental system was there. That means if you have a large roof, another company can come and sign an agreement with you. They install the solar for you on your roof, and they share the income. Now that model can work very well with this one, same roof rental model, but in this case, not only the roof, they also lend a battery. So once the whole system is sort of provided to the customer, and the energy is generated, and the income, what is coming from the energy, if there is a substantial return for the customers will be very happy, because then the headache of maintaining these systems are not with the customer. So now that's the business model in other countries. It is happening, and Sri Lanka can embrace that as well. As I mentioned before, the land-mounted solar with firm power, industry and the EPCs can proactively work on this. I don't know whether the government will come up with this legislation soon, but if the whole industry pushes this, there will be additional business for them as well. So even the mini hydro can be coupled with batteries to give firm power. So already we have a lot of solar installed, in the country, and the business can be like a recurring business, or adding some batteries to the existing this thing, and with low cost. Only the battery cost will be involved. Okay, now let me talk about a little bit about Solar Village. When I analyze the Solar Village, what they have done, It's very interesting, and it's a very useful project. So as I understand, the Solar Village success was built on net plus scheme. So it's on daytime export of energy. But with the reduced 19 rupees per unit tariff, daytime export is no longer financially attractive. That's what I think. And this Solar Village concept may suffer because of this. So new challenge will be how to retain the financial viability. And at the same time, count into power development, schools, water supply, etc., what the Solar Village has been doing. So this is the challenge, Solar Village is saddled with to overcome. So in that, I have a couple of recommendations. One is deployed shared battery storage in the community level. Store daytime solar and sell at 4580, or maybe, if the government increases it, it will be very good at 60 rupees per unit. So the income stream will be the same, and it will be a sort of, it will be similar to what Solar Village has been doing by selling energy during the day. But in this case, the energy is sold during the evening. And it will sort of align with the government's listing of grid-friendly solar dispatch. So also to develop local storage capabilities, I am sure, like our people are very, very skilled, and there are many people who can be trained on things like battery assembly, operation and management, and system integration. I mean, this is not rocket science. It can be sort of, this knowledge can be transferred to people in the village who have certain skills. It can be transferred. So if they get this thing, they can provide installation maintenance services to medium to high level, high income households nearby. Because now what I believe is hybrid solar, which requires, interaction with the system and monitoring and, support. A company based in Colombo cannot do that throughout the country. It's very difficult because either the company has to have decentralized operation, or it will be impossible for them to manage. Unlike on-grid solar, where you go and install the system, and after that, you just go in for one service or two services per year. Here, people need hand-holding, and people need support within the vicinity. So now, what I think is the Solar Village, if this can be transferred to the people in that area, it can be a good business for them. So by doing this, you can do a sustainable business ecosystem around solar and storage. Because solar and storage, I believe it is here to stay, and it has to be, promoted and, expanded. So through Solar Village will be a good way to go. There will be a dual impact in this case. Community services will be self-funded. So they develop their skills, they have the knowledge, and they do their own work, as well as, they can provide support and services within the vicinity. So that will be a income generation stream for them. And it is good for the country also, because broader solar adoption in the region, which I believe it's difficult to sort of handle by few companies in the country, based in Colombo, or in the specific towns. So we don't have that large companies which are sort of diversified and having businesses right around the countryside. Okay, so in this case, this will be aligned with the community energy cooperatives, which I have taken from this. I have taken from the NPP policy framework, and it says the community cooperatives and aggregators will be established, and this is the way forward for Solar Village as well. So it's in line with what the government wants to do as well. Okay, so that is basically my sort of, like what I have to sort of share with you. So if there are any clarifications, questions, or whatever, I'll be happy to.
Jeremy, fantastic, Jeremy, because your talk just reflected your talents as well as your multi-talents in various areas that needs to come together to make this renewable energy successful. So I'm sure there may be questions, and I'll take that up so we can. Yes, Dharme, please. Yeah, Dharme.
Right. First of all, thank you very much, Jeremy, for this presentation. This is a very
You're welcome.
complex subject. I just want to make a couple of comments. There are so many to make, but I will just go through a couple of them. And also, thank you very much for noticing the Solar Village project. Yes, there are a lot of things we could do. As you mentioned, because of this tariff coming down, the income to Solar Village is very low. So we are going in a different way now. Solar water pumping for drip irrigation and irrigation. That is a very difficult way of getting the income, but our 10th Solar Village is mainly on water pumping. We don't have to depend on the CEB approval and everything, but that is difficult. Yes, it has created a lot of issues for Solar Village as well. But we will be in touch with you as well. We are working as a huge team. We want you to work with you as well. We will be in touch, myself and my colleague Nilmini Rollins here. Just to make a couple of comments, Jeremy. I started promoting renewables in 1992. That's long ago. During that time, we had only, the national grid was covered only for 70% of the people. 30% of the people didn't have the grid. So we were using solar home systems, very small systems, 60-watt solar panel, charge the battery, give them light in the night, and they can run a black and white television. But that was the condition during that time. There were so many systems in the country. But then CEB did a good job. They spread the national grid to cover the whole country. Now they say that we cover 100% of the country. So everywhere you go, we have the grid, but our grid is very poor. If you go to a village, 60-watt bulb is just like a candle. It is very fragile. That is why a monkey can switch it off. It needs continuous improvement. That hasn't happened over the last 35 years, Jeremy.
Right.
When it comes to solar and batteries go hand in hand because it needs charging. So people ignored that. This is not a new problem for Sri Lanka. This is a problem created by CEB itself by ignoring the consortium of scientists and engineers and industrialists promoted in the country. They ignored it. So that is why we are in this situation now. So anyway, let me tell you a few things. During our promotion, I remember I went to meet Vimal Veeravansa, minister. I will tell the name. I was there for 3 hours. I gave a presentation mainly to promote solar roofs in the country. but nothing much happened. But in 2015-16, we met the President, Prime Minister, and the Science and Technology Minister. The Surya Balasangrama took off. That gave a huge kick. Unfortunately, it is not helping now. It is slowed down. Now brakes are on. Unfortunate thing is the people, about 100,000 people have solar roofs in the country. Their income has gone down. And at the moment, we are not helping them. That is how we should develop the country, because it's their own money or their own loans. We have to help the families to develop the country, not just by, yes, we need large solar farms as well. In addition to that, we have to help the families. That is not happening at the moment. That is where my frustration is. I'm so sad to hear that. The other thing I want to mention, perhaps the last thing, we need to improve the solar and wind in the country, because the whole world is going towards renewables and then to green hydrogen. Because we are a country close to the equator. The potential is 200 gigawatts. We are using gigawatt. Our potential is huge. We can produce solar hydrogen to other countries. In fact, I'm happy to see that on 18th, only 3 days ago, the government has woke up and they had a meeting to develop the policies for green hydrogen. So that is the way forward. We don't want to miss that bus. And then this is the time to prepare for it. Not to break on. My last question is perhaps for you. We know that. I also know it by working with the people for 5 years. When the senior engineers retired a diesel engine, they established a company. They are selling energy.
Narme, your connection is not stable.
Yeah, it's breaking.
Over 70 rupees per kilowatt in the country.
I think he got disconnected. Yeah, he'll come back. But any other questions in the meantime?
Sorry, I'm not quite sure how to raise my hand. It's not recognized.
okay.
It's
Yeah.
just, first of all, Jeremy, thank you so much. It's been a really fascinating talk. And as Dharma said, thank you so much for taking on board the Solar Village concept as well. Really grateful for that. A couple of questions really with regard to the battery storage, 5 megawatt solar roof. What's the sort of costs for the battery storage?
Yeah, it's a 5 megawatt battery storage is going in the range of about 350,000 to between 350 to about 700,000, depends on the type of the battery and the warranty.
I see. Right.
But the thing is, which I didn't mention here, battery storage is not feasible in Sri Lanka unless we do our own assembly. Why I am saying that is, we are buying the total battery from China, and the battery is a hazardous cargo, so it cannot, air freighted. So it's unlike any other product. Warranty is not simple here. because the cells cannot be sent by air or whatever. So as a result, depending on warranty for the battery, from an overseas country, it's not possible. I mean, it's not practical. So that is why I am promoting battery assembly in Sri Lanka, where we get down the cell and assemble the battery so that, if something happens, we can replace the cell and we can provide service locally. So with that, the cost has come down drastically also, like, 20 to 30% from the imported packs, and, battery is more economical and affordable if you do the assembly here.
Right. Thank you. And also the next question is really about, you mentioned training people locally in the remote areas. What sort of time frame would you expect to train somebody who doesn't have much knowledge but might have the certain skills?
Well, without any knowledge, of course, I would think, it take a long time. But my experience is there are people who have gone through in the area, who have gone through a certain amount of the education through vocational training or whatever. That kind of people, probably within a couple of months, it can be they can be trained. But the thing is this: now we have a good vocational training set up in the country. So all the people are asking for NVQ 4 or 5 certification when sort of to recruit people for solar and this type of jobs. But I'm sure certain people, which even they have not gone through this training, if they are asked to do that, sort of showing them, what they can achieve after doing that, I'm sure a lot of people will be there to go through that. Now, for example, people going to Korea, they learn the Korean language and they spend for that, and they learn it because, they know that they can make some money after going to Korea. So our people are very, very capable and skilled in that form. So answering your question, if you take just like without any education person, it might take some time. At least he should have the right skills, so then he can be groomed. But if they are given the basic training, basic knowledge through the vocational training, or people with vocational training in this thing can be taken, and couple of months, is required.
Would you be able to advise, even after this call, on how we might connect people to vocational training specifically for the battery storage assembly and that sort of thing?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, I know that, a lot of people now, I have sort of consulted for a large company last, year before. There, we started with, fresh out of school people. So of course, this is in Colombo, but when you go to the rural areas, it may be different. I'm not sure about that, but I'm sure, like you can find the people and, you can get them trained as well.
Okay, excellent. Potentially set up an apprenticeship scheme or something, potentially.
That's right. The apprenticeship scheme is set by the Vocational Training Institute, VTI. VTI is, I mean, like widely sort of expanded now. And I know from people who come from various places in the country, and, they get VTI training. So, of course, it has to, we have to do some research, but I wouldn't see it as a sort of impossible.
Okay.
It's quite possible. try to get that thing in place.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Nilmini, for that, and also exploring other ways of doing things for national benefit. And Jiva, yes, Jiva.
Hi, Jeremy. Thank you very much. It's a very informative talk. Thank you very much for that information. So my question is, with regard to a solar village effort, something like that, in the long term, if we are planning to go for individual systems, say, be it a individual house or a community, separated from the grid, would it be, are there any benefits going away from the AC system and going to a DC system? Thank you.
Yes, there is a benefit, but also it so happened that I did quite a bit of research on somebody else's request, because that request also was to take a whole village out of the grid. So the only issue is DC systems, because as Professor Dharme mentioned, 90% of our area is electrified now. So there's the 230 volt distribution everywhere. Along with that, most of the houses have already gone in for the 230 volt AC systems. So if you can get the DC infrastructure, it will be very much more effective, and in fact, it will be cost effective as well. But my hesitation here is, how we are going to change the whole electrical network to have a DC network, unless, of course, if it is built newly.
Yeah, Bernard, yes, Bernard.
Yes, Professor, can you hear me? Yes.
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Yes. I'm very glad to hear from Jeremy at the lead platform at the outset. And I'm very thankful to you for releasing some of what you stored, your brain storage, part of it with us, sharing with us. Now, I'm just having read the news item in the press yesterday. It is headlined New CEB Solar Rules Spark Investor Fears. They issued a circular released on 9th September, revising the approval process for rooftop solar photovoltaic systems. And to make, without wasting much time, I just read the important areas that they have highlighted. They say they say that high voltage metering installations will no longer accept low voltage solar systems. One, the change means household or businesses with lower electricity usage in the previous year, whether due to closures, economic slowdown, or vision practices, cannot install solar systems sufficient to meet future needs or contribute excess energy to the grid. So the industry is alarmed at this. The announcement has sparked sharp criticism from renewable energy developers and analysts who own it risk derailing private investment at a time when Sri Lanka has pledged to transition to 70% renewable energy by 2030. And it further goes on. I am only giving some extracts from the article. It has sparked sharp criticism. The circular doesn't just streamline approvals, it restricts growth, said the director at the leading solar company. And by the way, Jeremy, have you read this item, or is it not news to you?
No, I haven't. But but the background I'm aware of,
Yes.
which is
Yeah.
very, very, very foolish, because as I mentioned,
Exactly. That's right.
as I mentioned, now they have come up with a limitation of 5 kilowatt for every house.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
That's
and also you have to show your electricity consumption for the last 6 months or something.
yeah.
Now, why should they, because they are not investing, the customer is investing, so why should they curtail this one? You know, so that is something, you know, which they should not do.
Yes.
Basically,
Yeah.
allow the customer, if the customer is willing to pay for it, get the solar system the customer wants, whether to make money or whether to offset his bill, it doesn't matter. Only thing matters is, you know, whether the customer is affecting the grid or not. Like what happened on non-grid solar is the grid was affected by adding so much solar onto the grid. But if you do it with batteries storage and, you know, the export is during the evening, that problem is solved. So I have made representations to the PUCSL and SEA, asking them to, at this present moment, allow unlimited export during the evening peak time if the customer can afford to put any amount of battery. Because peak time energy the government can use, I mean the CB can use.
Right. Now,
Yeah.
this actually now it further goes on to say regarding this, though upgrading the infrastructure is estimated now, say grid capacity management, they say it will cost around $6 billion. That means that we are eating out into our own reserves of even less than 6 billion. Without a strategy to fund these improvements, such restrictive policies will only slow down Sri Lanka's transition to clean energy. And the CB's position, it says, CB, however, maintains that the new framework is essential for managing grid stability and improving transparency in approvals, and that is the official thing, to decentralize and speed up the process and so on. And the SCA, that is response by Sustainable Energy Authority, said he had yet to study the circular in detail and would provide his observations once he had reviewed it. While CB stresses grid stability, industry insiders fear the unintended consequence will be a slowdown in rooftop solar adoption, reduced private sector participation, a higher cost for households and business seeking clean energy solutions. So though they have expressed their concerns, I hope you also will be joining the same boat and express your opinion with Sustainable Energy Authority. I think you have earlier. I think you have informed me that you have gone and met them. So
Yes,
I think right. Yeah.
no,
Carry on. Yeah.
it has been raised, but the point is, you know, unfortunate thing is Sustainable Energy Authority doesn't take the responsibility, and they say it has to be PUCSL, and if you talk to PUCSL, they say it's Sustainable Energy or CB. So basically, there's no forum or the opportunity for a consumer or, you know, people like us or interested people to go and sit at a table and talk to the decision makers. There's nothing like that in available at the moment.
Why you say
Because
sustainable? Yeah. Why is Sustainable Energy Authority with director generals and so on in that, and they are unable, they don't have the clout to go and meet the government
no, the
people.
point is this, regulatory body is PUCSL, right? So they have to make the regulations, and that has to be gazetted by the Ministry of Power. So Sustainable Energy Authority is the you know, like a watchdog. So they see what is happening in the solar industry. So it's a bit really bit confusing, because the regulatory is one organization and the watchdog is another organization, and the policy framework is done by a third organization.
My God.
So there is something like the tariff committee, which supposed to be consisting of one person from every organization. But I have requested for a meeting with them, but it's impossible to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So my last clarification is now according to now, even rooftop is not going with battery storage without proper know-how and technological know-how on the part of the investor is going to be little difficult. Some kind of now can't we some kind of promote now those people who are looking for land solar. Land solar systems, solar storage system that they can be attracted to the solar because which is just available free, roof solar, particularly these the garment factories and all that. All those that is free infrastructure. Whether they can first start with that kind of infrastructure without trying to put up separate land solar infrastructure.
No, that
Isn't
is the
that?
way to go. That's the way to
Yeah.
go. The point
Yes.
is this. Now there are so many industries with large roofs.
Right.
But unfortunately, if you put solar on those roofs, and that solar is generated during the day, and that will again affect the grid. So that's the problem. So, so what you have to do is basically promote them to
Yeah.
go in for solar plus storage in those
Exactly. Yes.
industries,
Yes. Yes.
right? But of course, if you are going in for solar plus storage, their investment, they are going to expect a good return. So that is natural, right?
Natural. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So that is where the problem is. Now, the government has not ratified the policy framework for evening peak tariff compensation. So the minute that is properly done, there will be a lot of industries who want to put battery storage and make use of this roof during the evening.
Yes.
Because
Exactly.
most of the
Yes.
industries in Sri Lanka are not working after 5 o'clock.
Yeah, because those are idle assets actually, rooftops in terms of solar energy attraction. No,
That's right.
those
That's right. And then
idle assets are rooftops.
idle assets and rooftop, and their energy
Yeah.
requirement is during the day. And so solar can cover their energy requirement.
Right.
And if they want, they can put battery storage and sell that energy during the evening and make a good
Right.
income from their roof.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That I think you spoke about it, saying renting out to the people with know-how to maintain the batteries.
That's right.
Batteries.
That's right.
Yeah. That's a good solution. Thank you very much, Jeremy. Wish you all the best.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bernard, bringing the current situation into light. Jiva, sorry, I cut you off. I thought you had asked it. Jiva, yes, Jiva.
Sorry, no. The point that Bernard and Jeremy just discussed, actually, I brought it up with the electricity board engineer that on a personal basis. He said that, that is a valid option, but their problem is, in order to do that, they have to reduce the generating power of either the hydroelectricity generators or the thermal plants. There is no way for them to do that in a active way as the solar energy comes into the grid. They don't have a way to lower their production, it seems. So that's also related to the grid problem.
I would agree there because only power source we can effectively control is the hydropower. I'm not an electrical engineer, but I know I am saying this with sort of responsibility because my brother is a chartered electrical engineer, and I have been discussing this with him for a long time. So they can reduce and control the energy. But only thing is this. Now that is why I'm talking about the firm energy, because what they can't do is, they can't control the energy production or increase or reduce fast enough to compensate for the changes which happen with solar energy, which is a very, very unreliable source, right? So what we have to do is we have to make that source firm. Only way to do it is adding battery storage so that you can take a steady output of and continuously for the 24 hours. Now, having said that, then the CEB should know where is this coming from, right? Which area and what is the output they are receiving. Once they know all that information, they can plan the production. So, answering your question, we are not really talking anymore about variable power. We are talking about the firm energy. So, if it is firm energy, if they know that this pipe is bringing so much and there will be 2 more, 3 or 4 another pipes bringing in so much firm energy, then they can control the hydropower.
Thank you. We don't have any other questions at the moment. Thank you, Jiva, for also bringing that part of into the discussion. Anything else, Jeremy? I think you did a wonderful job because you're more like an all-rounder to this, and have really put new ideas as well. I know you were a bit reluctant to talk at the very beginning, but you're such a big strength. You should know that. And thank you once again. Any other comments from? No, all
Well,
good.
I think I enjoyed the evening, and thank you very much for inviting me. So there were so many interesting questions, and I think we can sort of share knowledge continuously and see what we can do for the country.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay. Good night for everyone, and then we'll stop here for the moment, and you'll get the recording shortly. Thank you.
Okay, right. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.